Chapter 17. The Lawyer. He passed again through the great gate in the high wall, and they brought the boy to him. Again he took the lifeless hand in his own, and was again moved to tears, this time by the sadness of his son. "Are you in health, my son?" The son looked at one window, then moved and looked at the other, but not at his father. "I have some business for you, my son. Are you certain that you wish to marry this girl?" "I can marry her?" "There is a friend of mine, a white priest, and he will see if it can be arranged, and he will get a lawyer for you." There is still some life in the eyes, of some hope maybe. "You would like a lawyer?" "They say one can be helped by a lawyer." "You told the police that these other two were with you?" "I told them, and now I have told them again. And then they fetched them from their cells, and they were angry with me, and shouted at me in front of the police, and said that I was trying to bring them into trouble." "And then?" "And then they asked what proof I had, and the only proof I had was that it was true. It was these two and no other. Then they shouted at me again, and said one to the other, 'How can he lie so about us?'" "They were your friends?" "Yes, they were my friends." "And they will leave you to suffer alone?" "Now I see it." "Be of courage, my son. Do not forget there is a lawyer. But it is only the truth you must tell him." "I shall tell him only the truth, my father. He must come soon, my father, or it may be too late," he said. "Have no fear of that. He will come soon, and Father Vincent will come to see you. And the marriage, that will be arranged. And the girl, I had not told you she is living with me in Sophia town. And she will come back with me to Ndotsheni, and the child will be born there." "It is good, my father." "And you may write now to your mother." "I shall write, my father." "And wipe away your tears." The prison guard said to the boy, "You may stay here. There is a lawyer to see you. You, old man, you must go." Kumalo returned to the mission house and was having tea with Father Vincent when the lawyer came to see them. "I shall take the case for you, Mr. Kumalo," said the lawyer. "Pro deo, as we say. It is a simple case, for the boy says that he fired because he was afraid, not meaning to kill. But with regard to the other two boys, I do not know what to say. I believe your son is speaking the truth. It is for me to persuade the court that your son is speaking the truth. Now, I must have all the facts about your son, Mr. Kumalo, what sort of child he was, whether he was truthful and obedient, and when and why he left home, and what he has done since he came to Johannesburg. You understand?" "I understand, sir." "You may thank God that we have got this man," said Father Vincent when the lawyer had gone. "He is one of the greatest lawyers in South Africa, and one of the greatest friends of your people." "I do thank God, and you too, Father. But I have one anxiety. What will it cost? My little money is nearly gone." "Did you not hear him say he would take the case pro deo? That is Latin, and it means for God." "He takes it for God?" "Yes, it will cost you nothing, or at least very little." Kumalo looked at him. "I have never met such kindness," he said quietly. He turned away his face, for he cried easily these days. Father Vincent smiled at him. "Go well, my friend," he said. There is a lovely road that runs from Isopo into the hills. These hills are grass-covered and rolling, and they are too lovely to describe. The road climbs 11 kilometers into them to Carisbrook, and from there, if there is no mist, you look down on one of the fairest valleys of Africa. About you there is grass, and you may hear the forlorn crying of the titihoya, one of the birds of the grasslands. Below you is the valley of the Umzimkhulu, on its journey from the Drakensberg mountains to the sea. And beyond and behind the river, great hill after great hill, and beyond and behind them, the mountain of Ingeli and East Griqualand. The grass is rich and thick. You cannot see the soil. It holds the rain and the mist, and they sink slowly into the ground, feeding the streams in every small valley. It is well looked after, and not too many cattle feed upon it. Not too many fires burn it, leaving the soil empty. Up here on the tops is a small and lovely valley, between two hills that shelter it. There is a house there, and flat planted fields. They will tell you that it is one of the finest farms of this countryside. It is called High Place, the farm and dwelling place of Mr. James Jarvis, and it stands high above Ndotsheni and the great valley of the Umzimkhulu. Jarvis watched the ploughing with sad eyes. The hot afternoon sun of October poured down on the fields, and there was no cloud in the sky. Rain, rain. There was no rain. The lumps of earth turned up hard and unbroken, and the plough rode uselessly over the iron soil. Jarvis, calling his dog, started out along the path that led to the tops. Up there was grass, fed by the mists, but below the tops the grass was dry, and the hills of Ndotsheni were red and empty. Something might have been done if these people had only learned how to build walls to save the soil from washing away in the rains, and if they had planted along the lines of the hills. But the hills were steep, and the cattle were weak, so that it was easier to plant from the top down, and the people were uneducated and knew nothing about farming methods. Some people said there must be more education, but a boy with education did not want to work on the farms and went off to the towns to look for an easier occupation with more money. The work was done by old men and women, and when the grown men came back from the mines and the towns, they sat in the sun and drank their liquor and made endless conversation. Jarvis turned these old thoughts over in his mind as he sat on the hilltop. Down in the valley below, there was a car going up to his house. He recognized it as the police car from Isopo, and it would probably be the police captain making his usual daily tour of the district. His wife was coming out of the house to meet the car, and there were two policemen climbing out of it. His wife was pointing up to the tops. He called his dog and set out along the path, and about halfway down to the fields, he met the two police officers. "Well, Captain, have you brought some rain for us?" "No, Mr. Jarvis. I'm sorry, but I have bad news for you." "Bad news? Is it my son?" he asked. "Yes, Mr. Jarvis." "Is he dead?" "Yes, Mr. Jarvis." The captain paused. "He was shot dead this afternoon in Johannesburg." "Shot dead? By whom?" "It is suspected by a native housebreaker." "My God," he said, and then, "You didn't tell my wife?" "No, Mr. Jarvis. She isn't strong. I don't know how she will stand it. Mr. Jarvis, I am instructed to offer you as much help as I can. You could take a plane and be in Johannesburg at midnight." Yes. We'll take it." In a few minutes, they were at the house. "James, what's the matter?" "Some trouble, my dear. Come with me to the office." The captain went to the telephone. He began to talk to police headquarters about the plane, And he put his hand over his open ear to shut out the sound of the woman crying.